Unconventional, yes, but simple. A millionaire, desperate for an heir, offers a homeless woman a life-changing sum of money to carry his child. No attachments, no complications, just a business arrangement that would benefit them both. She gets security, he gets an heir, but life doesn't work in straight lines. When the child is born, something happens that the millionaire never expected. As he gazes at the baby in the hospital room, his face turns pale. His heart pounds. It's not just shock, it's something deeper, something unsettling. The child's face, those tiny but familiar features. It's impossible. It shouldn't be. He stumbles back, gripping the side of the hospital bed. This wasn't just any child. This was a secret from his past staring back at him. A past he thought was buried forever. And now, everything is about to change. What did the millionaire see? And what secret was hidden in the child's very existence? Stay tuned, because this story is about to take a turn no one saw coming. The hospital room felt colder than it should have. The steady beeping of the machines faded into the background as the millionaire, Daniel Carter, stood frozen, staring at the newborn in the nurse's arms. His chest tightened, his breath shallow. He wasn't sure if he was imagining things. But the more he looked, the clearer it became. The baby. He looked exactly like someone Daniel had lost years ago. A face he never thought he'd see again. His mind raced. Was this some cruel trick? A coincidence? No, it couldn't be. The sharp curve of the nose, the slight dimple in the chin. It was all too familiar. Memories he had locked away came rushing back, flooding his senses like a tidal wave. The nurse gently placed the baby in the arms of the mother, Samantha. She was exhausted, her frail frame barely holding up after hours of labor. Despite everything, she looked down at the child with pure love, as if nothing else in the world mattered. Daniel clenched his fists. This was supposed to be a simple arrangement. He had found Samantha on a cold winter night, curled up in an alleyway, shivering from hunger. She had nothing. No home, no family, no future. And he had everything. He had offered her a way out, a chance to escape her harsh reality, a legal contract, medical care, financial security. She would carry his child, and in return, she would never have to struggle again. She had agreed. But now things were different. Samantha noticed the change in Daniel's expression. She frowned. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice hoarse. Daniel hesitated. He couldn't tell her. Not yet, not until he figured out what was really going on. He forced a tight smile. "Nothing," he said. "I just need a moment." He turned and walked out of the room, his mind spinning. He needed answers. Later that night, Daniel sat alone in his mansion, staring at a glass of whiskey he hadn't touched. The fire crackled in the grand fireplace, casting shadows along the walls. His head ached from the questions circling in his mind. Could this child really be connected to his past? It had been years since he lost the one person he had loved more than anything. A betrayal, a tragedy, a loss so deep that he had sworn never to love again. That was why he had arranged this deal in the first place, so he wouldn't have to open his heart. But fate had other plans. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number. "Find out everything you can about Samantha," he ordered. "I don't care how long it takes. I need to know who she really is." Hours passed. Then his phone rang. Found something, the voice on the other end said. Daniel's grip tightened on the phone. You're not going to believe this. His heart pounded as he listened. And then, for the second time that day, his world turned upside down. Daniel's hands tightened around his phone as the voice on the other end spoke. Every word sent a chill down his spine. Samantha isn't who you think she is, the investigator said. She's connected to your past in a way you never expected. Daniel's throat went dry. What do you mean? There was a pause. Samantha had a sister. His pulse quickened. He had never heard Samantha mention a sister. The voice continued. Her sister was Amelia. Daniel felt the world tilt beneath him. Amelia. The name alone was enough to pull him back into a past he had tried to bury. She was the woman he had loved, the woman he had lost, the woman who had disappeared without a trace years ago, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a shattered heart. Daniel's mind reeled. Samantha was Amelia's sister. That meant his breath caught in his throat. The baby. It wasn't just that the child resembled Amelia. It was because, in a way, he was hers. Daniel grabbed his coat and rushed out of the house. He needed to see Samantha. Samantha sat in the dimly lit hospital room, holding her son close to her chest. She had seen the look on Daniel's face earlier. She knew he had recognized something. She just wasn't sure if he had put all the pieces together. She had never planned for it to happen like this. The door swung open, and Daniel stepped in, his expression unreadable. Tell me the truth, he said, his voice low. Did you know? Samantha looked down at the baby, then back up at Daniel. There was no point in hiding it anymore. Yes, she whispered. Daniel exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. Why didn't you tell me? Tears welled up in Samantha's eyes. Because I wasn't sure how you'd react. Because I was afraid you'd take him away. Daniel stared at her, his mind still racing. How? How is this possible? Samantha took a deep breath. Amelia never wanted to leave you, Daniel. She loved you, but she was in danger. She had to disappear to protect you. She thought if she stayed, something terrible would happen. Her voice broke. She found out she was pregnant. She was scared. She never got the chance to tell you. Daniel felt a lump rise in his throat. Samantha wiped away a tear. She didn't survive childbirth. The room fell into silence. Daniel looked at the baby, his son, Amelia's son, a piece of the woman he had loved, the woman he had lost. He had spent years thinking he was alone, believing that love had abandoned him. But here, in this tiny, fragile life, was proof that love had never truly left. He walked over and gently placed a hand on the baby's head. A wave of emotions crashed over him. Grief, regret, but also something else. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Samantha watched him carefully. I know this wasn't what you expected, but he's your son, Daniel, and he deserves to know who you are. Daniel swallowed hard. He had spent so many years avoiding attachments, shutting people out, thinking it was the only way to protect himself from pain. But now, looking at the child in front of him, he knew he had a choice. He could walk away, just like he had always done, or he could finally face his past and embrace the future he never thought he'd have. Slowly, he reached out and Samantha placed the baby into his arms. As he held his son for the first time, Daniel felt something shift inside him. The weight of the past was still there, but it didn't feel so heavy anymore. For the first time in years, he wasn't just a man with money and power. He was a father, and that changed everything.